Hi, I'm Jason Anderson, and today we're going to take a look at the mini server running the Dasset Simple operating system. So let's dive in and take a look. Now, as we look at the hardware itself, you'll see the mini server has 4 drive bays, power buttons on the front. It's aluminum design, very, very well done. On the back, you have USB-C, RJ45 for LAN, power and reset, but a very solid build. It's something I'd put in my living room. Okay, now for hard drive installation, just hit the button on the front of the drive bay, slide it out. Then you take these rails off. They just clip off really easily. All right, now as we put our hard drive in, this is a Western Digital Red NAS drive. It just slides into the enclosure itself. Make sure those holes are lined up. And then we'll take these clips, and they actually kind of hinge on. You hinge on the top, and then you slide it down, and then you just snap it into place. Really, really easy. No tools. I love that. Makes it just super easy to add drives, swap them out as you need them. Once you have the rails installed, then you just go ahead, make sure it's in the open position, and slide the drive in all the way, push the door shut, and your drive's installed. We're going to talk about the mini server running the Dasset Simple operating system from PlanetX Labs. So let's dive into it. Okay, once you have your mini server on your local network, to access it, you can just go to a browser, type in minis.local, and there you go. You're into your server. Now, what you'll see here is a very simple interface that gives you all the basics that you might want to see about your server. You have the option to go dark mode if you're a dark mode guy like me, but it gives you all the information that's necessary to connect to it and to know about it, the IP address, the name of the server itself, which you can change. I'll show you that a little bit later. How much space you have used on your device, the status of your hard drive, status of the device itself, CPU and memory. And this part that I really love is the multiple users. Now remember, the mini server is a local device to your network. It's not accessible to the internet unless you make it, and I'll show you a trick how to do that. But if you want to keep all of your data safe on your local network, accessible only here, but have multiple user accounts, you can do that. Okay, so let's walk through a couple of neat things. First, let's talk about other ways that you can access the server. We're showing you through a browser here, but you got a couple of other neat options to make it a little bit easier and flexible. One is I can just install this as a Google Chrome application. I just click that button, install, and bam, and now it opens up as an app. And I could pin this to my taskbar if I wanted to, so I just have that application. But if you actually want to just have an application, a Windows application or Mac application running on your device, there is a mini server client. So let's go ahead and open that up. I'm going to pop open the client application itself, and you'll see here that it says, hey, I don't have any devices that are on the network itself. Let's go ahead and add the device. So I'm going to click the plus button here. I'm going to do local device discovery, which is just going to scan my network and see if it can find this device itself. And there you go. Let's add the device, finish, close that out, and we'll connect. And you can see it's going to ask me to log in. I'm going to log in with my other user account. We'll get to user accounts in just a minute here. Again, I like dark mode. This is my personal user account. Let's just stick this over here so we can compare the experiences when you're running different accounts, because that's important. But the experience with the application is just the same as the browser client itself. So what if I wanted to be able to access my mini server using my phone instead of using my PC? If we go to the App Store here, you'll see that we have an application for Android in addition to the Windows client. This will also be in the Google Play Store. Now I have this running on my phone, so let me go ahead and bring up my phone screen here and can show you what this looks like. All right, so here's my phone screen. I have the mini server application already running. Before I go ahead and start this, I'm going to go over to enable internet access. This is going to associate my account with this device from my phone. And the neat thing about this, it's going to enable me to be able to connect to my device when I'm outside of my local network. And this is using software-defined networking, which is like a VPN. It provides an encrypted connection, so your connectivity and your data in between the device and your phone is secure and encrypted and safe. You don't have to worry about snoopers. Okay, let's open the application up. I'm going to go ahead and scan to add. We'll do scan QR code. I'm going to bring this up here. There we go. Found the device. You can see that it's now associated with my email address. We're going to say finish. And now when I connect to this device on my phone, it's the exact same experience that you would have on the Windows application or in the Chrome application or Edge application that you have running in your browser. I get all my stats. I can do file management. I can upload files here really easily. So I could go to photos. I could upload a photo. Super simple. I can download files as well. Everything you can do in the Windows and browser application you can do with the mobile phone application. But it allows you to be able to access it from the internet if you want. So you can access this data anywhere, securely, anytime. Really, really cool feature. Okay, let's dive into some other cool stuff. Multiple user accounts. I love this feature. So the admin account, which is a super manager, which is what I'm logged in over here, that's not the account that you want to use every day. It's for configuring the device. You can see that I have some options over here, like storage and disks that I don't have when I'm logged in as myself. And we'll get to that in a second, but let's talk about these different accounts. So what I've done is I've set up accounts for my family. This is me, my wife, my 2 kids. Now the neat thing is when I go into file management, you'll see that I have a personal space, there's a public space, and there's a group space. Okay, in the personal space, these are all my files, so those other accounts can't access it, not even the super admin account. The public space is an area that all user accounts can access, and you can configure discrete permissions on who can do what in here if you like. And then group space is an area where you can set up groups with just certain people. For example, I have a homework group, and that just has my daughter and my wife and I in it. And then there's a mom and dad group for just my wife and I, where it has our will and other information. So really, really slick. So if I wanted to go into and set up user permissions and management, I can just add a member here. You can see I can make them a regular member. If I'm an admin, I go over here and I add a member. You see that I can actually add a manager as well, right? So the difference between a manager and a regular member are just some of the base permissions they have available here, which I can change if I want to. Very easy, very flexible, really slick service to be able to use and discreetly segregate out data for different members of your family. All right, let's go into LAN settings. This just shows you what your IP address is, subnet mask, stuff like that. Storage and disks. This is where I can configure all of the drives in this system. I have 3 2-terabyte drives. They're set up in a RAID 5 array. If I go into format and rebuild system volume here, you'll see I have multiple options that I can choose if I want to, where I can balance between data protection and performance. RAID 5, I think, is a great balance because with that, out of the 6 terabytes, I have basically 2 terabytes as protection. 1 drive as a parity disk, so you get 4 terabytes of complete usable data, right? Whereas if you try something like RAID 0, you don't have any data protection, but you get the full capacity of the 6 terabytes. So I like RAID 5, I stick with that, but you can change that around. We try to make that easy for people to decide what they would want to do. Okay, system settings. This is where I would change the host name. This is when I type in https mini-s.local, I could change that to something else. Your system time, I can disable HTTP access, change my fan speed, and restart the system. About's where you can get upgrades and see what version you're on. Talk about file management. We went through this a bit. One thing I forgot to show you that I really like is the favorites folder. So I love my photos, but inside of my photos here, if I want to go into pictures and I go to our family, that's really my favorite. So I'm going to go ahead and say, hey, I want this to be my favorite folder, right? So when I go into favorites, look at that, our family. So it's just there all the time. Going back to data protection, if I delete something on accident, everything I delete is going to be in the recycle bin. It sits there for 30 days until it's automatically deleted, or I can go ahead and empty that thing myself, delete, and it's going to go ahead and delete all those items. All right. Lastly, let's talk about LAN sharing services. This is how you enable the ability to connect to the data on your local server, your mini server, from other devices in the house, like DLNA. So if I want to be able to stream my photos and videos to Roku or other devices, I can do that here. You'll see that I've got those already configured so I can use those on and see those on my TV. Samba, or SMB, is how Windows and Mac clients would be able to connect directly to the device in like Map and Network Drive. So if I enable Samba and I make it visible in LANSCAN here, I can now open up Windows Explorer, and we're going to scroll down here to Network, and we're going to see that here, the mini server is now available. So let's go ahead and open that up. It's going to ask for my password to connect. Right, we're going to connect that. There we go. Now there is the My Space folder, and this is the public folder. I can just right click on this. Hey, Map and Network Drive, finish. And there we go. Now I have the Y drive connected to that, and here are my videos and photos. Pretty slick. NFS. NFS is a great way to be able to copy files server to server and through other applications. Same thing like for WebDAV, and then Time Machine for those Macs out there that want to be able to do backups. You can back up directly to your mini server. Pretty simple and straightforward. So as a recap, the mini server running the Dasset Simple operating system from PlanetX Labs is a great way to get all of your data to share with your family, local to your network, but with the option to connect to it remotely using the mobile application over an encrypted connection. Great way to store your data and keep it safe, and for a great price.